What's happening, everybody? I appreciate you checking in. All right, another bombshell. Another bombshell of Mark Davis just wanting to blow this damn thing up. And we'll talk whether or not it was the right decision or not, and kind of maybe what the next decision might be. Obviously, we got to find a GM, but we'll talk about who it's going to be. But man, um, make it make sense, man. You could like Telesco or not. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But damn it, Severe. Kind of make it make sense with everything that has gone on up into this point. I mean, it's crazy, man. What how you feeling to start out?
Yeah, man, it's just crazy, man. It's just the way this team is operating, man. It's just odd, that they let Antonio Pierce go out there for that press conference. People see that and they assume, hey, you know what? They let him talk to the media. He must be safe, and then he gets fired. And then we all know about the report that came out initially saying, hey, you know what? Tom Telesco's job is safe. He will be back with the Raiders next year, and he will be part of the process looking at head coaches. So it's ironic because I think the first people we're going to begin talking to, I think it's tomorrow. We got some Zoom calls set up with some guys. So apparently they just did
Yeah,
not
I
want.
think Ben Johnson's coming in tomorrow.
Yeah. I think it's virtual because they're
Virtual.
in the
Yeah,
playoffs. Yeah. So apparently they did not want Telesco part of those talks. They had a hard deadline, and maybe there was some back and forth, between some of the people in leadership, and before they actually got into the nitty gritty of actually hiring coaching or it start of talking to coaching candidates, they were like, "No, what? We'll get them out of here. We'll get them out of here." So,
uh,
yeah, man, it's weird.
I mean, I'm with you. I think that's probably the only thing that could have happened because I mean, you kind of did AP dirty with the press conference, right? And then with so many reports coming out that Tom Telesco's job was saved, and
Yeah.
reports. I mean, I guess you can only trust reports as far as you can read them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just I don't know if it was true or not, or people just jumping the gun thinking that he's in the clear. But my only guess is that maybe there were head coaching talks, further discussions, and the pathways were just in 20 different directions. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the only thing that you can assume happened to come to the conclusion that Tom Plus was now out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's we'll definitely dive into it. We'll talk about really just what we think went wrong, some of the coaching candidates that are out there, and who the potential GM could be. We'll throw out a bunch of different just scenarios and theories because at this point, that's all it is. At this point, some of you in the chat in the building, you might have seen the video that I dropped before, so you might have a little bit insight as to what I think might happen. Obviously, purely speculation, but it's just a feeling I got. But we'll definitely get into it. But let's definitely hit up the chat. I appreciate everybody in the building. I got Robert Penny in the building. Appreciate you coming through. Raider Pete, appreciate you pulling up. Rafi in the building as well. Always good seeing you. Jeff Show. Hey, Jeff Show, just let you know, we were planning on doing a little bit of game film breakdown, the very last one, and all of a sudden this happens. They screwed us on Tuesday out of our game film, and they screwed us again today. I was actually just talking to Severe and or in our little chat, Severe and Chris, and I was like, look, I only cut up like 15 plays. I was only going to do the ones that really mattered, but man, Mark Davis just wants us to keep on talking about this shit. That's all he wants to do.
Guess that film must be bad, man. That film must that's just like, look, what do we have to do to keep these guys from looking at this film? Like, however many people I got to fire, get out of here. So,
and I had a good one about Tyree too. It was a good one. Man, I was gonna cut the film. I was like gonna clip it, and I'm telling you, I sat there for like 10 minutes going, should I? Nah, should I? Nah, shit. Nah, I'm gonna do it. It's the last one of the season. But we're gonna try to hit you guys on over the weekend possibly, and do a little bit of a film breakdown and have fun with it. If more news don't drop and they screw us over on that. But Lake Show Raider in the building. I appreciate you pulling up. It's money. Always good seeing you in the building as well. Mark, Kawahara. I'm gonna practice this a couple times. I'm gonna get it, man. Appreciate you pulling in. Sacktown Raider Mike in the building as well. Good seeing you, Raider Ryan. Thanks for pulling up, Billy Davis, man. It's always good, Billy Davis. Hope you're doing good. John Fallon as well, man. Alex Raider 35 in the building. Always good. Let's see, Raider Hawaii. What's good, man? You're saying Champ Kelly. We'll see, man. We'll see. The entire front office just gets wiped. You know what I'm saying? With Tom Brady calling the shots. Jeffrey Gaines, appreciate you pulling up. Let's see. Raider Smoke 89 with the super chat. I appreciate you, man. Starting out right with the super chat. You're saying,
"It's my guy."
This has TB12 written all over it. Expect a big hire. Ben Johnson, Ed Dodds. We'll definitely talk about some GMs. If Brady gets this right, we won't care how the firings are handled. Yeah, 100%. Severe and I were just talking before we jumped on, and we're like, man, at the end of the day, it just needs to work out. Whether you like Tom Brady or not, you like the process or not, man, it just needs to work out because that's where we at this point. The Truth 91 in the building. Appreciate you. Troy Gill as well. A Super Omicron. Always good, man. You're always showing the support and hitting us up. Mark in the building. Nada as well. Always good seeing you. Let's see. I'm going to get to everybody else. Scott Sweaty. Let's go. SoCal Sal, man. Always good. I appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to kind of get into this. Also, it's up to everybody else in just a second. I appreciate everybody in the building, everybody coming through. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. You got the Severe Raider. Make sure you go over there, wherever you're at. Hit that like button, subscribe. I'm Real Talk Raider Nation 805 Raider. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. We try to hit you whenever news hits a couple times a week. I know Severe is always jumping on here with him and some other guys as well, which is always good. Always showing fire content. So just make sure you guys show some love, hit that like button, subscribe. We definitely appreciate it. But let's see. I want to get to California Dave. Appreciate you pulling up. Man, I think that's JR Raider as well. Always good. That's about it. Salute to everybody in the building. Appreciate you guys. Okay. So let's start out first. Like we were just saying, there was a bunch of people announcing that and reporting that Tom Telesco's job was safe, right?
Yeah.
And then the bomb just drops. Again, AP did a little dirty, letting him go out to the presser on Monday. Honestly, maybe Mark Davis, Tom Brady in the talk, maybe they were on the fence with AP. Maybe they let him go out there, do his presser, go to the podium. And maybe they truly were on the fence at that point and they let the presser go because they weren't sure. Because to let Tom Telesco go like this kind of gives me that same feeling of shit. Maybe they were just at odds and maybe some head coaching discussions were had, maybe some strategy on how to move forward, maybe who to bring in, which means it could possibly lead to certain players that they go after. Maybe there were just disagreements and they just weren't on the same page and it all just kind of played out that way. Severe, man, what's your thoughts?
It almost seems like these decisions are like ad hoc, like they're just like flying by the seat of their pants. It's like I think somebody said it before. I don't remember. I think maybe somebody in our chat said it just seems so reactionary.
Yeah,
Not
I think that
really,
was the last one. Yeah.
Our last one, yeah. Like so reactionary. Like it's not, and I was listening to a little bit of Las Vegas News Today or something like that. But it was with Vinny Bonsignor and I think Adam Hill. And Vinny Bonsignor, he's widely speculated as kind of being the mouthpiece for Mark Davis. And I don't know if there's a message they wanted to get out, but him and Adam Hill were kind of going back and forth. Because Adam Hill didn't think it was handled properly. And in the midst of that back and forth, Vinny Bonsignor is like, they let AP go out there and talk. And, they didn't like what they hear, so they got rid of him. I'm like, is that how they're making decisions? Like, was that it? They didn't like what he said in this final presser, so they, like, I sincerely hope that wasn't the case because everybody knows, like, you can't, like, when you get in front of the media, you can only say so much. You can't reveal
Yeah.
too much. So I know some people, and some people had speculated before, and maybe they were right that AP said, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to keep the staff or whatever," and maybe that was his downfall. But I don't necessarily think that was the case because in the past, AP has also said they weren't going to go for any stopgaps at quarterback too, and that wasn't the case either because that's exactly what we ended up with. So no, I don't think you can't reveal your hand when you're in front of the media. You gotta kind of talk in these very general terms and like very vague and not give away too much and so if they fired him based on a pressure on Monday, like that's the epitome of dysfunction right there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And Raider, I appreciate you. You saying this Brady. Oh, sorry, Dominic 5. I think I skipped you, but man, I just want to say what's up to you. Appreciate you coming in.
Dominic 5.
Raider is Brady one and done? Yeah. Well, I think again, if he makes a move into a certain position, we'll talk about it in a second. I think he has to, but if he just stays 10% minority owner, then I think he can still comment. You can still be a commentator. I don't know if there's any conflict of interest now. Yeah, it'll get very interesting as to what access he has to certain teams. And that's already been talked about with him making that move and getting ownership. So part ownership. So we'll see. We'll see kind of how that plays out. Leo in the building. Yeah, I guess you did have to say it. I'm actually Leo. I might pull up the game by the play-by-play on here as we talk, just everybody, because I got the Notre Dame game and Penn State game up here in front of me. But Leo, appreciate you pulling up, everybody. Make sure you guys show some Leo some love too. He throws out some Raider content as well. Go check him out.
Give me 1 second, 805.
Yeah, do you think? So, and Leo, you're saying here comes Dion and Shador. Man, I'm telling you, I don't want Dion. I don't want Dion. I think there's just better prospects out there, better head coaching candidates out there. Either we go with a hot name that's already here, and man, these are some big moves that are going on that probably tell us we're probably going to shoot our shot at the hottest commodity. Could be Ben Johnson, or we go another route where we bring in a veteran head coach, because even with Ben Johnson, there's still that skepticism on whether or not he is the guy, whether or not, is there going to be growing pains, or, there is going to be growing pains. Is there going to be patience involved? You're going to have patience. Even if he comes in and brings in a rookie quarterback, you better not expect to win year one with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback. Not going to happen. Unless that rookie head coach brings in a veteran quarterback, then you can have some expectation, but it's still not, playoffs or Super Bowl. Maybe you just want to be very competitive and have, a 7-8 win season. But, they could go the veteran route, knowing that they've screwed up the choices, the last 4 choices. If you include the interim coaches, they've screwed those up so much that you almost don't have a year to wait for people to see us win. That's the hard part. Is I just don't know if in Mark Davis's mind, Tom Brady's mind, do they think they could bring somebody in and the fan base will have the patience to let this thing play out? So are they going to go with a hot new name that's a young head coach? Don't know. Or are they going to go with a veteran coach that can come in and have a chance at really generating a solid staff and potentially win right away? Something we might talk about a little later. But also, Leo, let me know. We might be going on a little bit later, and let me know. I'll send you the link. You can jump on, and we'll watch this Penn State Notre Dame game a little bit. But Severe, Leo just said Dion and Shador. Man, what's your thoughts? Because I'm telling you, there's so much links to it that it does kind of it does kind of I guess shine a little more light on it, because it could be that Tom Telesco did not want Dion and did not want Shador Sanders. And that could have been the chopping block. I don't know. What's your thoughts on Dion and Shador?
Yeah, man, I already don't want Dion. That's my head coach, man. I love Dion. I think what he's doing for the college game and what he's doing. I'm a Pac-12 guy. I've been a UCLA fan for a while, so I know no Pac-12. Well, I guess there's a Pac-12 now. Again, it's coming back, but it's total realignment. But I've known about Colorado ever since they came to the Pac-12, and ever since they came, they've essentially been in the basement. And for them to be receiving the kind of attention they've been receiving and to be playing as well as they've been playing, all credit to Dion for doing that. I think with his personality and his quirkiness and his style, I think that works. His idiosyncrasies, they work in college. It's not going to fly in the NFL. And I don't think it's going to work in the NFL. So these guys are professionals. They're going to be getting paid more than him. Some of these guys, as of now, nobody's going to ever be bigger than Dion, but they don't have the same respect for Dion as a college kid trying to get to the league will have. So I don't think it'll be the same for him. And we've seen much worse college coaches come to the league and fail. So I don't think Dion coming to the league. I don't see that as a recipe for success.
I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it is a recipe. I mean, some of these high caliber players in their time, right? Dion's one of the best to ever do it, ever play it. Sometimes you have expectations of other people to have that same mindset. A lot of people talk about that with the great ones, right? You just expect more because you played at such a high level. It's hard for you to relate to people and players that don't have that same level. That's why a lot of them don't make good coaches. Yeah. You got to have that development mentality and not that expect mentality. And that's the hard part about being a coach. I coached the game for 23 years. I stopped so I can give more time for my wife, my kids, all that stuff. But that was the one thing that I had to kind of change my mindset was you can never expect a player to do it the way you want them to. You got to coach them to do it. And if they have flaws at it, you got to work with them. Some people just expect. And that's the hard part. Dion's doing it at the college level, which is great, but sometimes college just doesn't transition to the NFL. Not saying it won't work. I just think I have my concerns, but because of those concerns, I don't want them. Scott Sweaty, you saying honest question? Do y'all really want another rookie head coach having to go against 3 Hall of Fame coaches 6 times a year in the division? That's a damn good question, and we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about coaches, okay? Because that's a damn good question, and this is why there's a name that's popped up that he's not on the top of my list, but I would consider because of that specific topic. But for the rest of everybody, I'm going to get through the chat a little bit. I appreciate everybody.
I would just say this to answer that question. The year's 2017. There is a division with 3 coaches that are going to one day be in the Hall of Fame for coaching. And there enters a rookie for a team the previous year. I think they won 6 games the previous year, if I recall correctly. Many people picked them to be the bottom of the league, one of the worst teams in the NFL. That team goes out there. I think they win 12 games his first year. And that coach is Sean McVay. Is there a Sean McVay out there? Because that division had Pete Carroll, who people have linked to us, had Bruce Arians, who was a Super Bowl championship winning coach as well, and had Kyle Shanahan. And he entered that that division with what most people thought was the worst team by far, and he wiped the floor with all of those guys. So if you get the right coach, a rookie or not, he can make some things happen, but it's all about making the right decision.
Absolutely. And so, but Scotty, I'm got your comment marked, and so we're gonna go back to when we talk about coaches. I promise. But if I forget, hit me again about the question. But for the future guys, if you guys do have a question, type in #Raiders first, and then give me the question, and then I'll catch my eye and I'll pull it up. We got a lot of people in the building, so I appreciate everybody pulling up. And so as we kind of go through this, let's talk first real quick about what we think is going to happen now. Tom Telesko's out.
Yes.
We have head coaches lined up to interview. And I said this before, and Severe, my stance on it. is I really want us to have the proper chain of command. And so as it stands right now, if we don't bring in a GM today, then we're going to be interviewing the hottest coach on the market tomorrow with only Tom Brady and Mark Davis in the building. And obviously Richard Seymour will probably be there, some other heads, but those are the two top guys. Now we got a situation where we might hire a head coach if Ben Johnson comes over. I do think we have, do we have Aaron Glenn coming the next day or two?
Yes.
I think Robert Saleh's coming in pretty soon. We're not going to have a potential, if we can nail one of those guys that come in and now they pick their own GM, or the GM comes in knowing that guy was already picked. So I really don't have any control over this guy.
Yeah.
I'm only doing my job over here. And that's kind of the situation we've had the last, couple coaching cycles, and it's bit us in the ass, to be dead honest. And so what are your thoughts, man? Do you think, or do you like the process? Do you like the process that this is how they're going about, unless we hear something in the next 24 hours?
I think that I think that we all kind of agree that the Raiders job is not the most attractive job out there, right? You don't have a franchise quarterback. You're not really in any position to get a franchise quarterback. There's been some dysfunction in the past, and you're in a very tough division. One of the things
and up and coming, right?
Yeah, up and coming, potentially. We never know how it's but potentially.
Hopefully, we're up and coming. But yeah, I'm with you.
Exactly. So, so one of the things that will make this job more attractive is, hey, you know what? You get to pick a GM, or you get to be part of the process of picking a GM. And if they want to do it where they swing for the fences and they hire one of these bigger names, that is something that is appealing. That is something that some of these other spots, like namely Chicago, you for sure aren't going to get it because Ryan Poles is there, and he may not be. He may, if he don't get it right this year, he may be going next year. But for this year, he's kind of solidified. Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville, we kind of saw what Balky said. If he interviews a head coaching candidate, we already think that's a better job. But he said the same thing. If they make a compelling enough case for a different GM, he's willing to do that. So you kind of gotta compete in the market that you're in. And with us already, kind of having a dearth of resources in terms of personnel on the field, we do have a lot of money to spend in free agency, but we don't necessarily have the best pick, and we don't have the franchise quarterback. We have to compete somehow. And some of our ammunition is, hey, you know what? We'll give you the opportunity to select your own GM. And while we don't like the process, though, it's more than one way to skin a cat. It didn't work for us with Josh McDaniels and with Dave Ziegler, but it's working right now with the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh came in, he hand selected his own GM and is working there for the time being. So it has worked in other instances as well. So you just kind of, at this point, I think we want some of the bigger name head coaches or head coaching candidates, and to make ourselves at least a little bit more competitive. That is something that's there to entice them.
What's really interesting is I think, we got confirmation that Ben Johnson's coming in the building, and we're going to do a virtual interview with him tomorrow. And we just get this news. And so I'm wondering if they are going to, and I know they are, that's not a question. They are going to shoot their shot as big as possible at Ben Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like the conversations between those three, Tom Telesco, Tom Brady, and Mark Davis, just didn't go well. And they weren't on the same page. And there's a really good chance that they didn't want him in the building when Ben Johnson was going to interview.
Exactly.
Whether it be just disagreements when it comes to the next head coach, when it comes to the next quarterback, stuff like that. And Severe, you pointed out before we jumped on, right? Ziegler didn't get a quarterback, even though he tried. He wanted to. Tom Telesco didn't get a quarterback, even though there was rumors he liked Michael Penix, but a lot of people knew that it was kind of a shocker that Atlanta snagged him.
Yeah.
So it takes two to tango. He might have tried,
Exactly.
but couldn't get it. Tom Telesco didn't get a quarterback. And so maybe it is. Maybe there is discussions on Tom Telesco saying, man, I ain't jumping up. I'm not going to go get the quarterback that you want. And it just didn't go well between the table of three, and he's the one that got bounced. Again, purely speculation, but that's the hard part. That's kind of where we stand. And so, I mean, what's your thoughts on the GM talk? So we'll talk about coaches in just a second, but obviously it's GM, and I appreciate everybody in the building. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. There was somebody that let's see, let me find it. Did definitely hit that hashtag Raiders, so it caught my eye. Let me find it. Let's see, there it is. Show low, man. What's going on? Thoughts on John Spytek, assistant GM for the Bucks for our GM spot, and Brady, former Michigan teammate. Could be.
Yeah. I mean, I mean that's one of the guys. Matter of fact, I just sent out a tweet before we hopped on. I said there's four guys I'm looking at immediately. The guys I'm looking at immediately are Ed Dodds from the coach. I think we were kind of ready to go with him before we hired Ziegler. I think the only reason we didn't go with them is because Mark Davis was dead set on hiring Josh McDaniels, and Josh McDaniels said only circumstances he would take the job is if he was able to bring Ziegler with him. So that's why we kind of abandoned Ed Dodge. And then this time around, when we hired Antonio Pierce as our head coach, I think Mark Davis, he talked about, not wanting to make the similar mistake that he made in the past when he hired Reggie McKenzie, and he let Reggie McKenzie hire Dennis Allen, where he had a rookie head coach and a rookie GM. He didn't want to set up that dynamic. So that's why I think he didn't go with Ed Dodds this time. Ed Dodds is a guy that has ties to the Raider organization. He worked with us before. He considers himself a Raider. He said as much in the past. And he's been with the Colts, previously, and him and Chris Ballard have had a pretty good run. Spytek is another name. I think he was head of player personnel in Tampa when Tom Brady was there, so they have that familiarity, as well as their time together at Michigan. Champ Kelly, I think, will get a look because I think the Raiders like what he's doing, and then Ray Agnew from the Lions is a guy who he's the assistant GM with the Lions. He spent time with the Rams from 2017 when Sean McVay first got there, I want to say, to about 2021, when they had some of their best success, and then he moved over to the Lions in 2021, or right around the time when the Lions started having some of their best success. So I think he's been a common denominator in two teams that had been kind of cellar dwellers in the NFL, and then they made turnaround. So I think he's a guy that will also get strong consideration. And if you want to pair coaches and GMs, Liam Cohen and Spytek, Ben Johnson, Ray Agnew, it kind of lines up.
And the other thing about that is, and I'll just add to it, is there's been so many reports that Tom Brady has been around that Bucs organization even after he left. Right, he went back and he's commentated some of their games. He's at their home games on the sideline. You know what I'm saying what's up to everybody. So he knows that building. He understands the personnel in there. So Liam Cohen is definitely a name to watch out for. If you're looking for a young, potentially up and comer, what he's done with that Bucs offense is very impressive. And so that's definitely one name when we talk about coaches to look out for. So Shola, man, I appreciate that. And then real quick, Steve, man, I appreciate you. You always start the show strong. I'm always showing love. Appreciate the super chat. So did you guys see Mel Kiper's mock draft today? He got Raiders taking Jackson Dart. Here's my question.
I hope in the second round.
Yeah, where? That's the only thing. That's the only thing I would ask.
I've been Yeah, I've been saying Jackson Dart for the longest time. I've been saying Jackson Dart is. I've been saying he's my QB3. I mean, I like him
Yeah.
better than a lot of guys. I've been saying that for a while. Some people are finally just kind of starting to come around to that. But I'm not taking him in the first round. I'm not
Yeah.
taking him in the first round.
I like him too. I do like him. But it's all dependent on kind of where he's at. I'm not taking him the first pick, not even close.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. But let me know what where he had us pick him. Sacktown Red
If
Mike.
we trade all the way back to 32, maybe like if we trade back to
Yeah.
32,
And
Mike can send it
stockpile a
for a
shit ton of
crazy
picks.
haul. Yeah, maybe,
Exactly.
but yeah.
What coaches you think will keep, if any? You know, the one coach that I am gonna hate to see leave is Rob Leonard.
Yes.
That's one guy I'm gonna hate to see leave. Severe. Any thoughts on any coaches that you'd like to see stick around?
I'd like to see. Dang, I forget my guy's name. The new tight end coach. I just talked about him the other day.
Oh,
Um, I
I know
just
who you're
talked
talking
about him.
about. Yeah.
The new and you know after Frank's he had big shoes to fill because Frank Smith left and you know like that job had kind of been in flux and just the development I saw out of Brock Bowers. And to an extent, the other kid too, Justin Shorter. I thought, for a converted wide receiver, I thought he did well, and then I think Michael Mayer did well also. So I would like to see him stick around. Doubt it. Of course, Edgar Bennett, one of the more respected, positional coaches in the league, but
Yeah.
he's been through. Show me, I couldn't imagine him staying around. So he's probably gone. Of course, Robbie Leonard. A lot of people, he just and I don't know exactly what he does, but just because I love him, he's been a Raider, but Rob Ryan too. Robbo, he's a Raider. I don't know. Like I said, I have no idea what he really does, what his job description is, but but I just love the guy, man. He's a Raider, and he's endeared himself to Raider Nation ever since he was our interim.
God, so Raider, how you're saying? And Steve, let's see. You're saying he's got us taking him at 6.
Oh my God,
man.
No.
Now, here's the only thing though, is like crazy shit happens. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't put your finger on exactly what these damn teams are going to do, but taking them at 6, I think, is a big reach. I would only see that potentially happening if Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders like went 1 and 2, and you had people panic and they want to jump up and try to get a quarterback. I could only see that potentially happening if it went that quickly. You know what I'm saying? So, but man, at 6, that's crazy. Assassin's Crew, what's up, man? Appreciate you pulling up. Juice UST, they getting Ben Johnson, getting Lions back up Bridgewater for a quarterback.
No.
I mean, I don't want Bridgewater as he could be our backup quarterback, maybe third string quarterback.
Yeah. He'd be our QB coach. I wouldn't mind that.
All right. But here's my thing, right? And I'm just gonna I appreciate everybody in the building, man. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, man. Always good seeing the regulars too, new people as well. Sacktown, you're saying what about Joe Philbin?
Yeah.
No.
Good one.
So, but here's what I'd say, because a lot of people are saying that Joe Philbin has really turned this O-line around, and there's argument that he's made it better, yes. But it's crazy because as soon as Joe Philbin got this O-line, all of a sudden we had consistency with the O-line when it came to personnel. And the number one thing you need with an O-line is consistency. You need healthy players. You need players that are going to play side by side one day in and day out, because the biggest thing with an offensive line is you're only as good as your weakest link with the offensive line. Yeah. And so he was lucky enough to have consistent players from the point that he took over. And so again, I'm not saying he didn't do a good job. I'm just saying he also was able to finally get a consistent O-line to work with. Yeah. So, but it sucks though, because when we're going to break down some film, man, I'm telling you, DJ Glaze looks damn good. It's probably the best I've seen him all season. We know that he's been looking up, he's been improving, but man, it's probably the best I've seen him, to be dead honest. But I'm definitely trying to say what's up to everybody. CT Silver and Black, appreciate you pulling up. Guys, make sure you hit that hashtag Raiders. and then any comment or whatever, I'll try to do my best to pull it up. But make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. You got the Severe Raider pulling up with me. I'm 805 Raider. My channel's Real Talk Raider Nation. Appreciate you guys rolling with us today, and we're just breaking down, man, this crazy bombshell. Tom Telesco out the building. So before we jump into to head coaches, we talked a little bit, but man, here's my thought. And for some of you that may have seen the video that I dropped a little bit earlier, again, it was instant. So I was just it was off the top of my head, just thinking out loud. OC Nation, appreciate you pulling up. Man, it would not surprise me if Tom Brady was all of a sudden slotted into that GM role. And if it does happen, you talk about bridge gap quarterbacks, right? Mm-hmm. We talk about bridge gap quarterbacks. I feel like if Tom Brady becomes the GM and all these moves were made, because again, Tom Telesco, yeah, you can say he didn't do a good job because he didn't get a quarterback or what have you. But he nailed our first 3 draft picks, right? He got some good, Christian Wilkins, you cannot argue with that. Caleb Von Chasen, guys that when we had injuries, he was bringing some guys in, even guys that he re-signed on short notice, right? He came in and he had to dissect this roster, and he brought back guys like Adam Butler, Isaiah Palomau. He brought in Marcus Epps, even though he got hurt. Like, he did work with this roster. Yeah. He failed on the quarterback. Not going to sugarcoat that. But I'll tell you right now, you talk about bridge gap quarterback. I'm wondering if this was the bridge gap head coach and GM. Like, he was just basically waiting for Tom Brady to get 10% ownership, bring him in the building, and now you got control, bud. You do what you do. Yeah. Like that. That's the feeling I kind of get. Yeah. Is because remember, Tom Brady was supposed to get 10%, or that vote was supposed to happen, and it got delayed. And because it got delayed, I think Mark Davis maybe made some moves, and now all of a sudden, you got yourself a situation where you got a bridge gap head coach, a bridge gap GM, and then Brady gets his ownership, cut their ass, get them out of here. Now Tom Brady get to work. So and if you already have head coaches lined up for interviews and you don't have a GM in place and you got to interview tomorrow with your hot commodity, damn, man, is Tom Brady going to be the GM? Severe, man, what's your thoughts? And real quick before I get your thoughts, Space Beast, Penn State about the score. I'm going to do this, guys, just because I think everybody's kind of watching the game at the same time. Let me see if I could do this. I'm not going to share the audio. We'll just pull it up and have a little fun at the same time. But as I do this, Severe, man, what's your thoughts?
Man, you know what? Only reason I don't, my only pushback against that, when I hear people like, a lot of people have been saying, it was just a situation where they knew they weren't going to keep Antonio Pierce long term, so they kind of threw it together this season, or they gave him that 2-year deal, and they knew kind of all along this was a prove it year. If he didn't win, they're going to get rid of him. If that was the case, why hire Tom Telesco? Why not keep Champ Kelly?
Champ Kelly. Good point. Very good point.
That saves you at least a couple million. And you get to kind of continue some of the success that they had found later in the year, the previous season. So that would be my only pushback. But it's just but even if that was the case, I just don't like that philosophy. Why do it that? It just doesn't make sense. It's just, like, if you're gonna hire a guy, hire him with the expectation of him being the guy going forward, not with the expectation of we're going to get rid of him as soon as this new ownership group is set in stone, and let them pick the people. It's not like Mark Davis wasn't talking to Tom Brady already. Not like he didn't know who he would like as potential candidates, or who he had a close relationship, or he wasn't getting. I'm sure he's getting input, even though he's probably not supposed to. I'm sure he's getting input from him now. I'm sure these moves, it's not a surprise all this stuff is happening now. I'm sure he's getting input. So, like, why not just have that be the case the year prior in a
Yeah.
more informal way? They're talking all the time. They've obviously had all these machinations and all this communication to get Tom Brady on board as minority owner. So, like, hey, you know what? We want to set the stage for when you actually, when this gets approved by the league, you actually become minority owner. What are your thoughts here? And most people assume, I assumed, that Richard Seymour was kind of his eyes and ears in the building, because Richard Seymour was kind of working on things in a more official capacity. And he was involved in the meetings with Antonio Pierce before he was head coach. He was involved in the interviews with Tom Telesco as well. So, like, former Patriot teammates, close friends, why not rely on the judgment of your good friend, Richard Seymour, or relay the message that you want to be relayed to the owner through him, And so I just don't understand the process.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're going to talk about some, because we got Assassin's Creed. You're saying, what about a bridge quarterback Fields? We're going to talk about it in just a second, and I'll get back to it. But this comment, still Oakland Raiders, baby. You know what's funny is I do quite a bit of videos, right? And we're about to talk about a bridge quarterback, and it's going to steal from one of my videos that I'm going to drop. But we're on the live. We're going to have fun with it. There was a video or a clip that came out on social media about Marshawn Lynch. And guys, kind of derails it. But let me know in the comment section, like, are you accepting the Raiders in Las Vegas as it stands right now? Let me know in the comment section. Make sure to hit that hashtag Raiders, because he was on social media, and I think it's his podcast with Michael Bennett, the fullback.
Yeah.
And he's like, he still struggles to buy Las Vegas Raiders gear. Like, he can't do it. Something with Las Vegas on it. He just can't do it unless it's completely fire, unless it's one of one type of thing. He's like, I can't get myself to buy anything Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
And that's where I've been. Like, so when I do my videos, I got a rotation of like 18 shirts. I switch in and out when I do my videos. And I got them on. It's actually a joke. My wife, she's just like, I don't buy you anything unless it's black, silver and black. She's like, my entire wardrobe is just black. And that's been my stance ever since they moved to Vegas. I cannot buy a Vegas Raider anything. I got to go back on like eBay or some of those websites that you can go buy old school shit where it's just Oakland Raiders or LA Raiders. Like, I can't come to terms with actually putting on Las Vegas Raiders stuff just yet. I can't do it. I struggle with it. But that's just me. That's just me. Again, chat, let me know how you feel about that, if you accepted them as Las Vegas Raiders. But I just can't do it. I struggle. So real quick, Assassin's Creed, getting back to you, you're saying, what if bridge quarterback is Justin Fields? I have an idea as to how they could potentially win over Ben Johnson. I have an idea. Not saying I'm the biggest fan of the idea. I got an idea. Severe, what's your thoughts on that?
Assassin's Creed trying to get blocked. He knows how I feel about Justin Fields. Yes. He knows what he's doing. That was some red meat thrown out there. They're trying to get me riled up. And don't get me started on Justin Fields. Do not get me started on Justin Fields. No, I'd rather no. No, just no. No. If you go Ben Johnson, if you want to bring in Hendon Hooker, hey, I'm good with that, but I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm steering clear of Justin Fields. I'm steering clear of that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Saskia, I'm going to get back to your question real quick. Steve, man, appreciate the super chat again. You're flying, brother. I appreciate you. You said, aside from Joe Philem, Mike Martz is a discipline of North Turner. Ben Johnson is part of that coaching tree of Adam Gase, Mike Martz. So I have a feeling that the Turners stay. I think Scott Turner is going to North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah. Even though he is a disciple of Norv, yeah, I think it was kind of already. I don't know if it's already. I don't know if paper. I mean, there's ink. If the ink is dried yet, or if they put pen to paper that made any agreements. But it was all reported, as you said, that he was going to North Carolina with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, so I think he's out, and I don't see Norv Turner staying, to be honest with you. If Scott Turner ain't here, I think he just kind of came out of retirement just to be with his son, which is, more respect to him. Yeah. It's awesome to be able to do that. But just heads up, Penn State just kicked a field goal, 3-0.
Ooh.
Yeah, man.
Got to the
Upset.
3-yard line and couldn't punch it in. I don't
Couldn't
like
punch it
that.
in.
I don't like that at all.
But
Especially that tight end. They have a really good
they,
tight end. So
best tight end coming out of out of college
yeah.
this year. He's a dog for sure. But yeah, I think that's a tough one. Cut the check. Appreciate the super chat as well, man. He says this was a sign by the Raiders to any viable head coaches that were shopping, that were cleaning the house, so that you or whoever can come in and do anything. That's kind of what we said before when we started.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, this is definitely clean house.
Yeah.
Clean house. And to whatever head coach, it's like a clean slate. But my only fear is that now you're possibly coming in and picking your own GM, which I'm not a big fan of. Or like we said, Tom Brady might be the guy. So potential GM. But hey, cut the check. Appreciate the super chat, Steve. Again, appreciate the super chat, man. Going back to Assassin's Creed, you're saying bridge quarterback. I'm not high on Fields.
Yeah.
I wasn't high on Fields when we brought over Luke Getsy. I think Fields is just very inaccurate. I think we saw some success with Fields with the Steelers, but what happens is when you have when you have an offensive coordinator with a brand new quarterback and vice versa, you don't really know what to expect as defensive coordinator. So that quarterback, especially being a veteran like Justin Fields was, he's probably going to find some success very early in the season, like he did.
Yeah.
But once defense coordinators start to figure out what this offense coordinator wants to do with their quarterback, then they're going to scheme to you, and that's when the real test happens. And so I'm not a big fan of Justin Fields. Here's just my theory. Again, not saying it's going to work, but here's my theory. The one way you can actually win over Ben Johnson. When Ben Johnson, well, he's with the Lions, but last year, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator for the Lions. What quarterback did they draft from the University of Tennessee? Hendon Hooker. What if you pitch the idea of trading for Hendon Hooker? You could probably get him for that third round. You send that additional third rounder that we got for Devontae Adams. Mm-hmm. And obviously Ben Johnson was in those discussions of drafting Hendon Hooker, right? Yeah. I mean, at that point, they really didn't know what Jared Goff was. They were hoping for the best. That Jared Goff could have been that bridge quarterback that they were possibly, going to prep Hendon Hooker, because obviously Hendon Hooker was coming off of that. I think he tore his ACL. Yeah. And so let him sit for a year and see what he has. Again, I don't know what Hendon Hooker has at this point. I did like him out of Tennessee. I struggled with his accuracy at times and some of his decisions, but I think he threw something like 30 plus touchdowns and 3 interceptions, something crazy. But what if you pitched to Ben Johnson? We're bringing your boy over that you drafted. We'll trade for him, send a third, get Hendon Hooker over here. We could still draft a quarterback. Yeah. You could still get Jackson Dart in the second. But you pitch and say, we're going to bring your boy over that you drafted and marry you guys together. You still got your boy. We can still develop him. We can still draft a quarterback, but kind of pitch that to him and kind of give a little, kind of throw that in there. What's your thoughts on that, Severe?
I mean, I think that would be a good situation for all parties involved. I think it's a good situation for us because we're looking for a more dynamic quarterback. I think he's probably about, I don't want to say younger, because I think he's a little bit of an older guy coming out. So yeah, I think he's probably about the same age as Aiden, but more dynamic, stronger arm. Of course, can do a lot more with his legs. Threw for, ton of yards at Tennessee. And if not for the injury, a lot of people had him as their Heisman favorite that year. And I think it'll work out for, Ben Johnson, because he gets to mold a quarterback that I'm sure he had some input in terms of drafting, because he was the offensive coordinator. And then it worked great for Hendon Hooker as well, because as soon as Jared Goff signed that 4-year deal, it kind of made it known that you're here, barring injury, which would be catastrophic for the Lions, you're not going to get a shot there with the Lions. So, him being a little bit of an older guy, I think he's drafted at 24 years old, like 4 years, you're 28. So, you're not going to get a shot there until you're well into your prime and never having thrown an NFL pass in a regular season game to that point, that wouldn't be great for him. And I think the Lions, they would get something for a backup that they didn't even trust enough, to take snaps in the playoffs. They would rather have a veteran guy like Teddy Bridgewater come in after not playing the entire year and him take snaps in the playoffs than this young guy. So I think it's good for all parties involved. We extra third. We didn't lose much for acquiring him. So I would love that. Do the Lions do it? That's the question. But because they may hold out and try to see if they can drive the bidding up a little bit more. But I think that would be great for us.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And right away, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing right away. Just because we in Vegas, doesn't mean we need to bring that here. Jesus Christ. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I scrolled down in the chat a little bit. And it looks like we got a Charger fan in the building. Skull the Pro, you're saying Trevor Lawrence will start game 1 for the Raiders. It can happen. He's staying there. I mean, if they got, we'll see who their head coach is going to be. But man, that new head coach would be dumb to get rid of him. But you know what I'm saying. So it's like that's my thing. Is we talked about this in our last live. We talked about this in the last live. Is what are the selling points of the Raiders right now? It's a great comment. We cleaned house. We absolutely cleaned house to basically say, look, it's a clean slate, and we're going to start from scratch. It allows Tom Brady, it allows Mark Davis to kind of pitch their spiel to Ben Johnson and top candidates. But question is outside of the other 5 teams that have head coaching vacancies, the Jets, the Saints, the Jags, Jets, Saints, Jags. Who else? There's 5. There's 2 of them.
Bears, Patriots,
and Patriots, right? Out of those 5, like, how do you pitch the Raiders outside of no state income tax? How do you pitch the Raiders to a guy like Ben Johnson, if that's who you want? I mean, Severe, what's your thoughts? I mean, what do you think the biggest advantage is coming here over the other teams?
I mean, as you said, no state income tax. I think, we have a new stadium. We have some of the best facilities in the league. I think we have the second most cap space in the league. I think actually behind the Patriots.
Yeah, Patriots got the most cap space going into next year.
Yeah, I think we have the second most. And I think, the other selling point is that what we just did today, you have an opportunity to, hey, we're not going to let you be the GM because, the head coach and GM, that dynamic doesn't work. I think the only person really successful recently was Bill Belichick, and that eventually that success faded. So, but you'll be able to pick a GM that you're comfortable with, that you feel you have a synergy with, and you guys can kind of set this thing going forward. And you and your GM have the chance to set the culture within the organization. So I think I think for some people, they don't want to be at the mercy of somebody else that's above them, that doesn't necessarily listen to them. That if they're a hot name, they're a hot commodity, they want to be involved with the process. They want to be working with somebody they feel that they can trust, that maybe they have a relationship with. That's why, the Ben Johnson and Ray Agnew, I can see that. The Spy Tech and the Liam Cohen, I can see that. Because these are people that already have a working relationship. They've already been in the same building. They probably share philosophies. They probably share ideas on how to build a culture, and they'll have some already like baked in chemistry there. So I think that is kind of the selling points.
I think it is as well, and I think this is going to this right here, right? They cleaned house. AP's gone. Tom Telesco's gone, right? This is going to be a true test on what the Tom Brady effect really is. I'm telling you right now, like if we have 5-6 names on the list, and we're talking about head coaches in a second, with all the candidates and stuff like that. But if you got 5-6 names on your list, and if we shoot our shot at Ben Johnson, he's like, yeah, no, not coming here. Guess what? Tom Brady effect didn't work.
Yeah.
The second best name you got. If you look at just the younger guys, right? Aaron Glenn, top name coming out. Liam Cohen, top name coming out. The OC over at the Ravens.
Todd Monken.
Tom Monken, right? Decent name coming out.
Yeah.
If we don't get any of those guys,
yeah,
guess what? Tom Brady effect ain't working too well. That's
no.
You know what I'm saying? And so that as it stands right now, I think that will be a very, very big sign as to whether or not these guys actually respect Tom Brady, because you just cleaned the house. You could have Tom Telesco still in here. You guys have some interviews, and then it could remain to be seen. Maybe those head coaches didn't like Tom Telesco and what he said or what have you. But now we're gonna know, or we're gonna find out real quick how good Tom Brady actually is. So at least we have that to kind of look forward to, because again, like I said about the accountability with coaches and the chain of command, I want to know, who can we point the finger to when the shit don't work out?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so Shane Gamble, I appreciate you. He says, if both Ward and Sanders are off the board, Abdul Carter falls to us at pick 6 and the Panthers are on the phone to swap first round picks, what would they offer? So what would you do? Okay, hold on. Let me process this for a second. And I appreciate you hitting that hashtag Raiders, man. Okay, Ward and Sanders off the board. Abdul Carter falls to us. So only thing I'll say about that is there's a lot of question marks with our boy Max Crosby. We don't know if Malcolm Kuntz is coming back. So I think that has a lot to play in that decision. The Panthers are on the phone to swap first round picks. Where are the Panthers at right now?
I'm not sure.
I'll check real quick.
Let's see.
What would they offer? What would they do? Let me look at. I'm gonna look real quick.
So the Panthers are at 8.
Panthers at 8.
Yes.
Okay. So let's do this. If Max Crosby stays, I don't take Abdul Carter. As long as we bring up Malcolm Kuntz, if we're bringing back Caleb Levon Chason, if we're bringing both those back, I'm not going Abdul Carter. That's just me. The Panthers are on the phone, swap first round picks, and if they got to move from 8 to 6, that means they're probably giving us minimum a couple 2s at least. I'd take this year's 2. I'd take probably next year's 2. You could probably get 2, maybe this year's and next year's 2, and maybe a third this year. Let's see. Would I swap first rounds? The 2 guys that I really like at number 6 is McMillan, the receiver, and the LSU tackle.
Campbell.
Those are 2 guys I really like. I definitely would throw the corner in there. What's his name from Michigan?
Will Johnson.
So I don't think the LSU tackle will be gone just yet. I think that Michigan corner will be gone.
Probably.
I don't know if I'd make that move because the Jets are right behind us, and there's a damn good chance the Jets take that receiver, McMillan.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if I'd want to move off that spot if McMillan potentially could be gone. And the Jets sitting right behind us. Severe, what's your thoughts?
It depends on who's left on the board. It depends on who's left on the board, because the 3 guys I'm really looking at that pick right there are Tedero McMillan, Will Johnson, and Mason Graham. And then, I'd be comfortable with Banks or Will Campbell at that pick.
I got to look more at Banks. Yeah, I'm hearing his name a lot, and I know he's good. I just got to look more at him.
I'd be comfortable with either one of those guys. So if all of those guys are still there, or if let's say at least 3 of those guys are still there, you're moving from 6 to 8. Then you'll get at least one of those guys. But there's no guarantee that all 3 of them will be there, because we're at 6 right now. So you got to think 1, 2, 3. I think Shador and Cam Ward go in the top, and Travis Hunter. They all go in the top 3. And then the next best player available in the draft after that is probably Will Johnson. So he's probably gone already. You can make an argument after that Mason Graham is the next best player in the draft after him. So you would be taking a bit, because you can miss out potentially on all the blue chip prospects in this draft. And that would be, that'd be devastating. I think that would be devastating. So it all depends on who's on the board, but they'd have to give it. I think to move up 2 spots right there, they have to give at least a second, and maybe a 4th.
At least a second, yeah. I mean, maybe next year's second. I don't know if you'd get maybe a 4th this year. Yes, possibly. I actually had a chart that kind of gives. I think it's like the Stanford. I forget what it's called exactly, but there's a science to it, right?
Yeah.
How much a pick is worth and all that. And so
I
was actually looking at that chart.
There's 2 charts. There's the Stanford one, and then there's the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart as well. They're 2 different ones. I think everybody went off of the other one you're talking about. I think Jimmy Johnson came in and he tweaked it a little bit, and like, I think how he assigned points to him was different. How he assigned value to each draft pick was different, or something like that. So yeah, there are different ways to look at the value and what the points is, and how lopsided the trade is, either one way or the other. But it depends on, and if you feel like strongly about one of these guys, like I feel very strongly about Will Johnson and T-Mac. I'm not, if they're there, am I willing to move off of them if I feel that strongly about them? No, I'm probably not. I'm probably going to just stick and pick, and you live with it. Like we saw it this year with Jaden, right? We offered the reports are we offered 3 firsts and 2 seconds to the Commanders, and they said no. It also, we offered a package to Atlanta Falcons to move up to draft Michael Penix. They said no as well. So it depends on how strongly you feel about the prospect there.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Scott, you're saying, and I think what you're saying is what's going to entice a top head coaching prospect to come to the facility, to the Las Vegas Raiders. You're saying facilities, brand new stadium, training center, no stadium tax, fastest growing city in the U.S. And entertainment capital of the world. I mean, so I live near Las Vegas, and so I'm with you. I hear you that. But I'll tell you right now, man. One of the biggest selling points to any player, and if you've played this game ever, you know how important it is to play in front of your home crowd. To what it is to kind of come into a city, and the city accepts you, absorbs you, welcomes you, right? Like, do you remember the footage when Charles Woodson came back?
Mm-hmm.
He came back to Oakland, right?
Yeah.
Signed everybody. It was reported that he was going to sign. He was going to show up to the facility. I'm talking people showed up to that facility to welcome him when he got out that car.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the feeling you want when you come here.
Yeah.
That's not what you get when you come here.
No.
You don't. And that was one of the things I dropped a video on it before our Chargers game. Is one of the things that I was looking for that wasn't a part of the game was what was that stadium going to look like? Because we have one home game a year, and that's against the Chargers. I want to know, because the Chargers are making the playoffs. We aren't. What was that stadium going to look like? And that stadium was like 70% full, and there were still a shit ton of Chargers fans, which has never happened. The only home game that we have a year is against the Chargers. And my thing is that now we lost it.
Yeah.
We lost that one home game that we have a year. Yes, we have another home game in SoFi. It's our home away from home against the Chargers. But what player is going to want to come here when you literally are booed taking the field in your home stadium?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when it's 3rd and 2, when it's 4th and 1, and you got to get the stop, and you don't know if that crowd is cheering for the defense to make the stop or the offense to actually get it. It's like, there is, the stadium is beautiful. The stadium is literally one of a kind. but you're there so that you can play in front of your home crowd, the people that want you there.
Yeah.
But it ain't that no more. You know what I'm saying? And so it just sucks. It sucks that that's what free agents have to come to, and you want to be welcomed. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I remember back in Oakland, forget who it was, but a buddy of mine that was a season ticket holder, he went up there and we signed I forget. Khalil Mack. And Khalil Mack was reported he's coming to this facility. Bro, thousands of people were there to welcome him.
Mm-hmm.
Shit don't happen here.
No.
You walk up to the stadium and you just got the faculty. you just got the employees ready to welcome. Like, it's pathetic. It's sad.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you definitely got to sell this hard to especially veteran players that want to come and play for someone that a city that's going to welcome them. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. I mean,
yeah.
Severe, you got anything on that?
Yeah, just that, I think that part of the issue is that will curb some of that is that if we start winning or we build a strong enough team, opposing fans won't want to spend all the money it takes to get to a Raider game to watch their team potentially lose, right? To fly in from out of town and for the people that are flying from out of town to come in and watch them lose, like nobody wants to drop $1,500 on 2 tickets to watch your team lose, So I think if we start taking care of what we need to take care of as a team, I think that will kind of that will subside a little bit. It's never going to be how it was in Oakland. It's never going to be how it was in LA, just because fans' rooting interest are and how fan behavior in general is different. It's having young kids. I see there's not a lot of like diehard fans of teams anymore. Kids gravitate toward players, and they'll migrate team to team with those players. So if you have superstar players, you'll have fans. I mean, being a Lakers fan, I see that there are thousands, millions of people rooting for the Lakers, not because they like the Lakers, but because they like LeBron James. And same thing with the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry. There are millions of people rooting for the Warriors, not because they like the Warriors, but because they're fans of Steph. So I think it'll be like my son's favorite player is Justin Jefferson. Wherever Justin Jefferson goes, he's going to like that team because he loves Justin Jefferson, and he's 5. So that's kind of how things are now. He doesn't have, what's your favorite team? Like, I don't like any team. He likes Justin Jefferson and Reek. Those are his two favorite players.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll tell you just a quick story, guys. And Tony Shefford, I'm going to get you to your question in just a second. The biggest thing now with young players, and I actually helped out an indoor football team in Texas. So when I lived in Texas, there's an indoor football team called the Texas Revolution. Mm-hmm. And I moved to Texas, and I was like, man, it was in North Texas near Dallas. I was like, man, this is a sports city, right? This is a sports area. And so like the whole metroplex around Dallas. And I was like, man, I gotta link up with some of these. Like, I'm never gonna be a Dallas Cowboys fan, so I'm gonna just link up with some of the sports and stuff and just see what's out here. They got a bunch of like D3 baseball teams, stuff like that, and some feeder leagues to the hockey team stuff. I'm like, let's tap into sports. Well, I found out that about 10 minutes away from my house was an indoor football team called the Texas Revolution, and the GM for that team was Tim Brown. And I said, oh shit, you bet your ass I'm going to be a supporter. So I end up going to their games and was able to meet Tim Brown, actually linked up with him, and had a decent relationship with him, which was cool. And I started to help them out because they were trying to grow the indoor football league in that city. It was out of the city, Allen, Texas. Mm-hmm. And they were struggling to kind of get people in the stands. And so I knew some of the youth football guys and said, look, let's do a quick 7-on-7 tournament before their games, and we're going to make this all happen. Just get some people in the stands, all that stuff. And what ended up happening is they're like, well, how do we get more people to come to the games? And I said, the number one thing you need to do is all about player recognition. You need the younger youth football guys. You need the younger fan base to just high five some of your players. If they can just have that moment where they high five a player or they get an autograph or something, you got them locked in. And so I said, do more meet and greets, do some events where people can show up, have your players. So when I actually organize some of these football tournaments before the games for them, their attendance like it basically tripled the first tournament that I did. And I had the players come out and meet and greet all the parents and the players. Next thing you know, they're all showing up to the next game, even though they didn't play in the next tournament that I put on. They show up to the next game just to support the team. And so it's all about player recognition. That's kind of what Vegas needs to do. And that's why it was good on Mark Davis doing the open practices in Allegiant Stadium in the offseason, because that's how you get the young guys.
Were
Tony
those
Shep,
free? Those are
they're
free, right?
free. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, and that's why I don't get the decision to not have training camp somewhere where it's fan accessible. That's something else. I know they did the thing for season ticket holders, and I know Tom Telesco liked Costa Mesa because he knew that site, and they kind of went to get out of Vegas and get away from it. But hey, there are other areas in Vegas, like other areas in Nevada, rather. Go somewhere else in Nevada if you kind of want to get away from the facility. Go somewhere else and hold it there. And still, you still build that fan engagement from people that may be able to drive, as opposed to taking a flight from Oakland to Nevada. They can just take a short drive from somewhere, in Nevada to Vegas to watch a game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tony, you're saying, don't you guys think the competition in the West can be drawn to the right kind of coach? See how he matches up. I think that all depends. I'll give you my take real quick. It all depends on, like, for example, if you get a young guy, a young guy also has to know, I have to prove myself. So you jump into a division with Andy Reid, Sean Payton, now Jim Harbaugh, and you're sitting there going, damn, I'm jumping into a beast. How am I? And if he's got that competition mentality, that's great, right? But you also have to look at the other job openings. If he takes a Jags with an already proven quarterback, and he knows he's going to face some bottom tier talent, maybe, obviously he's got the Bucks there and stuff like that, but like, it's not as bad competition wise.
Yeah.
I think it depends. I do think a veteran coach, might be more open to just competing because them. You might think, hey, I've faced you a handful of times. I know how to deal with you. I could beat you. I could shock the world and come in and be the underdog that gets you. I think a veteran might have, it's all speculation, might have a more of that mentality, but a young guy, I don't know. It would be a tough go to come into a division like ours without a quarterback. That's just my thought process. Severe, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what he's saying. You want your head coach to have the mental makeup of being a competitor, and I want to prove myself. But you also want your head coach to be calculated and smart and strategic. So, for example, if you're going against a team that has an extremely strong run defense, you're not gonna be like, you know what? I'm going to pound them on the ground to show them that I can. You're like, no, like I'm going to take the path of least resistance, and I'm going to, come out victorious, and that's how I'm going to do it. So, you want, it's a balance right there. You don't want a guy that's, I'm scared to go there, but you also want a guy that's calculated and strategic and understands, the decisions have consequences. And if I go somewhere, especially with the team, as you alluded to, that has no quarterback. Now, if the team has a quarterback, this is completely different. That changes the landscape of things. But go to a team that has no quarterback and is in one of the better divisions in all of football, I think that, that's not smart.
That's a tough go. It's a tough go. I'm not saying that, you got that competitive spirit. So I feel you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to go in there and be like, hey, like you're saying, I'm going to go in and beat the piss out of some of these veterans. You know what I'm saying? But you got KC. You got Andy Reid, Sean Payton. You know what I'm saying? You got Super Bowl winners. So that'll be a tough go. Steve, man, you're saying, I think you're talking about just the market and winning, because I think a lot of people talking about, winning will bring fans. The only thing I will say to that is you have to take in consideration. Again, I live near here, so I hear a lot of people talking about it. The casinos, the hotels, they own a lot of the seats and they give them to just high rollers. That's why the Raiders they have sold out every single game, but they have the lowest attendance rating of any National Football League team. Of any team in National Football, they have the lowest attendance rating because you got casinos that give it to the high rollers that don't give a shit about football. And they could be on the north end of the strip, the stadium's on the south end of the strip. They're like, I ain't gonna make that trip. And so they just don't show up. You also got people that get drunk as shit and they don't make it. So, you're hungover as hell. Got to take that into consideration. It's Vegas. But two, you have so many season ticket holders that bought for investment purposes only. So they will sell it to the highest bidder. And so just because we win, and Severe, I 100% agree. I was actually saying this to a guy. I was taking an Uber to the stadium. And I said, look, even if we win, it should cure a little bit. We'll definitely see more Raider fans. I just don't know if it's a cure at all because you literally have casino, you have season ticket holders that just sell to the highest bidder. And I do think there are some Raider fans that still have sticker shock. I used to go to 1 or 2 Raider games every single year prior to them going to Las Vegas. And man, my tickets would be $200, 16 rows up in between the 40s on the home side. Like, I mean, beautiful seats.
Yeah.
And those tickets now are like $2,500. Like, it's stupid, So
Crazy.
I just think the dynamics of how the tickets are sold may not ever have one that Oakland feel, but we never will sell out that stadium with just nothing but black and silver again, unless we're playing the Chargers, but that might be gone too. So Nas, I appreciate you in the building. You got a question. So basically what you're saying is Pete Carroll is your top guy out of 5. Yeah, you're putting words in my mouth. We'll talk real quick. And I promise you guys we'll talk about it. And I think it was Scotty way back up. You did give us a question. I think it was no, my bad. Sorry. You asked a question about coaches. You said, all the Johnson, I'm feeling like a signal caller veteran, proven head coach. That's who wants this guy to be the GM. I think you had that question that I told you I'd promise I'd come back and we talk about coaches for a second. So we're going to talk about coaches real quick. Here's my thing is there's 2 ways to go at it, right? You can get a young guy. You can get a young guy as well. And if you get a young guy, you better be patient. But I would be okay with the veteran. And so the young guys, obviously, we talked about it. You got Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Liam Cohen, those type of guys. Mm-hmm. If there is a veteran, who would you want, Severe, or who are you looking at as a veteran? Obviously, you got Pete Carroll that I believe I think he's coming in for an interview. I don't know if it's confirmed yet. Let's see. I don't think it's confirmed. I think it's just there was reports that were interested. But if there was a veteran, who would be on your radar as a coach?
Man, there's not a lot of guys as veterans I already like. Even Pete Carroll, if he was just a little younger, if he was 4 or 5 years younger, Pete Carroll would be a great choice. But at 73, I think that's a tough sale.
This guy says Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel was fortunate enough where his first off, he had, like you said, he took over the team from Mike Mularkey that got fired for going 9-7 and immediately went 9-7 2 years in a row. And then he was able to hire Matt LaFleur as his offensive coordinator. Matt LaFleur, who spent 1 year with Sean McVay, had the number 1 offense in the league. Matt LaFleur wants to leave because I think it was reported he wasn't a play caller. He wanted to go somewhere to prove that he can be a play caller. So it's part of the reason why he left there, even though the Rams were flying high. Mike Vrabel gets him, and they do well that year, and then he takes the head coaching job the very next year. And then I think he was able to get Arthur Smith, who was brought with, I believe he was brought with Matt LaFleur. So he basically inherited a great offensive coordinator from Sean McVay, and then his next offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. And as soon as those guys were gone, he completely fell off the cliff. Todd Downing, it was abysmal, and then I think his last year there, he won 6 games in a terrible division, and he's out of the league. So I'm staying away from Mike Vrabel, to be honest with you. There's not a lot of veteran guys I already like. I mean, to be real, it's not a lot of veteran guys I like. Doug Peterson's got fired. Frank Reich, he got fired 2 years ago. Last year by the Panthers. Brian Flores, I guess he's been a head coach before. Yeah, he's been a head coach before. Brian Flores is a guy I would consider. Very smart guy. But other than that, it's not a lot of veterans I like. I liked Frank Reich, but just his tenure in Carolina did not end well, and I'm not sure if I want to go down that path. I mean, if we want to make a trade, if we want to shoot for the moon, trade for Kevin O'Connell, and then sign Sam Darnold, because I think they said that they were looking at trades, or like the Vikings wouldn't necessarily say no to a trade, because I don't think the Vikings didn't re-up Kevin O'Connell or their GM. I think both of them 2025 is their last year, I believe, and neither one of them signed an extension. So if you want to trade for Kevin O'Connell, it's going to probably take multiple first-round picks. But you see, Sam Darnold, he's a journeyman, 1 foot out the league for a lot of time. He goes to Kevin O'Connell. They have one of the best records in the league. You see Kirk Cousins, he's a solid player. He gets with Kevin O'Connell. They do really good things. He leaves Kevin O'Connell. He's a backup now. So yeah, Kevin O'Connell can do some things for you. So if you want to do something like that, I think Kevin O'Connell will be a guy.
Yeah. My first choice is a young coach, right? I prefer to be an offense coordinator. Severe, my point for a while is like, yes, I want to marry that offense coordinator with a quarterback.
Yeah.
If we have success, we can keep riding that wave of success, right? Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Sean McVay, Stafford, stuff like that. When Sean McVay finds his quarterback, they find some success, and they do their best to kind of hang on to it. If I went veteran, I do like Brian Flores. But it's tough, because if Ben Johnson can find that success, I want continued success, not have to find a new offense coordinator. Worst thing you can do to a quarterback is keep changing offense coordinators.
Exactly.
I'm really curious to what your opinion is on this, and chat, let me know. And I don't know why there's so much. I understand the concerns, but I don't know why there's so much hate on Spagnuolo. I understand that he had issues with the Rams. That was back in 2011. Okay, yeah. that was 13 years ago. Okay, we have to beat Andy Reid.
Yeah,
Andy Reid's got one of the best offensive minds. He's now going to know Spagnuolo's defense, but Spagnuolo is also going to know Andy Reid's offense.
Yeah.
He checks all the boxes. Yeah, he didn't have a great stint with the Rams. I get it. But he checks all the boxes except for the fact that he is older, right? I want a coach that we can grow with. I want a coach that's going to be here for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years and create a dynasty. That's what I want.
Yeah.
But if we can't land Ben Johnson, I don't understand what the complete hate is, because I'll tell you right now, what Spags has done with that defense, and it's not that he's gotten just all these studs. No, they have drafted players and turned them into absolute studs. Yeah. And Kansas City has won this year, and you can even say last year, off of their defense, not their offense.
Definitely.
They've won off their defense.
Mahomes not even a Pro Bowler this year. That's how.
Yeah. And so I don't understand why there's so much hate for him. Again, you can have your concerns. I get it. but everybody's like just a hell no, don't want him. Look at his record with the Rams. No, okay, again, 13 years ago. Last time I checked, people can grow, people can learn, people can understand from and correct their wrongs. But now he's been in an organization that has won.
Yeah,
he's won. They understand what a championship feels like, and he's got all the experience in the world. And I'll tell you right now, there has been some coaches that have been let go. He can build a staff. You could see someone like a Doug Peterson, as an offensive coordinator. If you're looking at, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. If you want instant success, if you want to win next season, then your best bet is probably a veteran coach.
Yeah.
If you want the process to play out, if you want to trust the process, then you're giving the coach 3 years. You're giving a young head coach, get your quarterback, build you're crossing your fingers. You're going to be, 5-6 win season next year, maybe 7 if you're lucky. But if you get a veteran that can build a solid staff, then you have that chance where you could possibly make playoffs or even have like an 8-9 win season, and you see the progression and you can continue to move forward. I just don't know what the hate is on Spagnuolo. You can, again, you can disagree that he wasn't that great in his past, but that past was a long time ago. I think that he's given a chance to learn, and he could potentially learn from those mistakes. And now he's been part of a championship dynasty, really, with the Chiefs. What's your thoughts on that, Severe?
I think Spags. I think I wouldn't hate it, but it'd be underwhelming. But sometimes the underwhelming thing is the right thing to do, right? Like
Yeah, I'm
Brock
with you.
Bowers, underwhelming for me, right? I was dead set on the sexy pick of the quarterback. We got to get a quarterback. And Brock Bowers, like, hey, not that he was a bad prospect. He was my number 3 pass catcher behind Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. But it wasn't a quarterback. It's not what I wanted. So it's like, but it was the right pick. It was the right thing to do ultimately. And that might be Spagnuolo. It might not be the young offensive mind or the big name that we all want. But just because it's not, the sexy pick, the flashy thing, the big splash that we are all looking for in this hire, doesn't mean that it's not the right thing. But you kind of also got to be careful because
Cool, Kev, what's up?
I think you said this about Patrick Graham, is that Spagnuolo just might be a defensive coordinator.
You could be right. I agree.
And in terms of personality, I actually think Patrick Graham, in my opinion, has the better personality for a head coach than Steve Spagnuolo. I think Spagnuolo is a better defensive coordinator than Patrick Graham, especially in terms of experience. But I think Patrick Graham, I think he strikes a good balance between he knows when to joke, he knows when to be serious. He can also be very, very stern and strict. I think he's even said himself, like at times he has to dial it back to not be so. To not be like, just cussing guys out. And you look at Patrick Graham, you would never think, oh, this is the guy cussing people out. But, people said, hey, he's kind of a hard ass. But I think having that kind of self-awareness is good. But like I said, Spags may be he may be Dick LeBeau. He may be, Tom Moore. He may just be a guy. Hey, you know what? You're a coordinator. You're going to be a damn good coordinator for a long time, but you're never going to be worthy of or deserving of being a head coach. So he struck out once. I think he has to be very selective with his next job because wherever he goes next, if he strikes out there, especially considering his age, he'll never get another opportunity. So he has to be very selective. So I don't think he wants to go to a division that has Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in it, especially he's seen that oil machine firsthand for all these years. A name I didn't bring up. I want to get your thoughts on this because I think this guy, he has a relationship with Tom Brady. Sometimes it was frosty, but I think you generally great people. They respect people who demand greatness of them. He's a guy that had success in this league. I think if he's paired with a good GM, because where he ran into trouble was when he was allowed to start making personnel decisions. Before that, he was doing extremely well where he was at. That's Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien. We see what Deshaun Watson looked like with Bill O'Brien. Looked like a top 5 QB in the league. He doesn't have Bill O'Brien anymore. Also he had the other stuff happened to him, but he doesn't look the same anymore. I know Bill O'Brien, he can rub some players the wrong way. He is a very in-your-face kind of coach. I know him and D-Hop had some issues, and that's how a lot of those guys from the Patriots tree are. They're kind of, no nonsense, kind of dictatorial. But we heard after the team meeting last year that there was a serious lack of accountability on this team. So we could need somebody that's more of a disciplinarian, somebody that's not going to be, dap you up, give you a hug all the time. Somebody that's going to be in your face, letting you know, hey, you know what? I'm not going to allow this mediocrity to continue anymore. So like I said, he has a relationship with Tom Brady. He was Tom Brady's quarterback's coach. So I think that's a possibility.
So after Houston, Bill O'Brien, did he go to the Browns? Where did he go?
Oh, I think he went to. Did he go to Alabama? Is he at Alabama? I think he's
maybe he did go to Alabama because
He went to. I think he's office. And hey, look, that's kind of been like the rehabilitation. I think Sark did the same. Steve Sarkisian did the same thing.
Yeah,
Lane Kiffin did. That's been like the rest home for fired coaches.
And so, and Cool Kev, we did talk about Champ Kelly. Unfortunately, man, I just think that it might be a clean house type of situation with Tom Brady. We also, at least I hinted at the fact that, man, Tom Brady might be the GM because we got head coaches coming in to interview. But we'll see what happens. We did touch on Champ Kelly just a little bit, but they might clean house. See, Bill O'Brien, because of all that talks, like you were saying about his personality and stuff like that. And I go back to the example of Spagnuolo, is that he's had so much time in between being a head coach and now finding success and understanding what that championship looks like and just the process of it and having continued success. And now that team has to lean on him for success with his defense. I love the fact that he has that experience in that time in between being a head coach. I'm not sure if I don't like the fact that it's been a pretty short tenure since O'Brien's been, away from Houston. I'd like to see O'Brien, go somewhere, show that he can have continued success, and then get that second chance. I'm all about second chances. I'm cool with people having second chances. I mean, Andy Reid's on his second chance, right? And look what he's done.
Exactly.
And so I don't know if I'd be on Bill O'Brien today, in all honesty, because I think because of what he did in Houston and the personality concerns, I think he just maybe has more to learn, and then potentially get a shot. But yeah, man, I did want to get your opinion, and I think it's a little. The chat is kind of back and forth on what they're like between Spags and whether they like him or not. But again, that's my biggest thing is if you just look at Spags' history, he checks all the boxes. Yes, the stint in LA was rough, but that was a long time ago. And look how he's recovered so far. And so you can just tell the only downside, yes, my biggest thing would be Ben Johnson. I'd like to bring him in because of just the potential of creating something long lasting. But I think Spags is 65, 66 years old, something like that. So he's up there in age. You don't know how long he'd be around.
Exactly.
He could check out in 5 years and maybe have some success, but never reach, the promised land. And now he's like, yeah, I'm bouncing. So and that's my concern with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's old.
73.
I want someone that's going to come here with the possibility of building a dynasty, not maybe we make the playoffs in 3 years and then he's like, okay, didn't make it, I'm out. So that's kind of my thing. But man, that's kind of my thoughts. I appreciate everybody in the building. We talked about it all. We're going to keep hitting you guys. We have a ton of people in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn those notifications on. We're going to keep hitting you as as this news keeps funneling in, because before we can breathe, something else drops. And I'm sure we're going to get GM news. We are bringing in Ben Johnson for a virtual interview tomorrow. So we'll definitely get some information as to how that went. But I definitely appreciate everybody in the building. Severe, let the people know where they can find you. Let people know what you're up to, all that fun stuff, so that they know what's going on.
Yeah, well, one quick thing that just happened today. I don't know if you heard about it yet, but I think Carson Beck withdrew his name from the NFL draft consideration, and
Oh,
he's going
did
to
he? I
enter.
didn't hear that.
He's going to enter the transfer portal. People are saying that Miami is the number one contender to land him in the transfer portal now that they're losing Cam Ward. So I think he's trying to, after that injury and kind of a down year, he came into the year as most people's number one quarterback. He had a pretty awful year. Then he ended with the injury. I think he's going to come back one more year and rehabilitate his draft stock. So that's another later round quarterback that's kind of off the board. So be interesting to see how this draft shakes up with quarterbacks. But yeah, man, the Severe Raider, YouTube, IG, X, Snapchat, TikTok, all that good stuff. You guys find me generally on Tuesdays with my guy 805 and Chris from Protect the Shield. Doing something, you film breakdown or something else. I know we're gonna probably start on the college film pretty soon. Also Tuesday nights, the 50-50 show with my guy Pharaoh. We got Around the Shield that usually drops on Friday nights. And yeah, man, just be on the lookout, man. This is a very exciting time. So just stay locked in. Make sure you guys hit those subs, hit the notification bell to stay on top of all the latest and greatest in Raider Nation, because it's all gonna be flying at us pretty quickly, man. And we're going to be here to give you a breakdown and a blow by blow of all the moves that we make now and going forward.
I'm with you, man. Space Beast, what's the draft day plan? Don't know just yet. We're definitely going to go. I'm going to most likely go live. I say most likely. We're definitely going to try to put something together, and we're going to actually possibly put some things together with for some of the playoff games, right? Maybe a little watch party like we're doing now. We got it up on the screen, talk about some of the updates, and maybe we talked a little bit. We might do some game day raffles a little bit, So guys, let us know if you guys are down for that and join us, because we'll definitely link up and watch some of the playoff games. But draft day, I'll definitely let you know what's going on. And Steve, man, you started right and you finished it right. I appreciate you. Let's be honest. We're just making sure to soften the blow. But y'all know we'll go crazy if Ben Johnson comes with us with his GM. Yeah. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If Ben Johnson comes here, I think that's the one thing that allow this Raider Nation, the Raider fan base, now as a whole, there's going to be the haters out there, but you can at least come together and say, okay, let's trust the process.
Yeah.
If he can get his quarterback, then you got to give him 3 years to figure this out. Give him time, right? And so I think that's the first time that the majority of us will kind of come together and be like, all right, let's trust the process. So I'm with you. I think it will blow up if we can land him, because I think there's a lot of us that are skeptical whether or not we can actually land him, because you got 5 other head coaching jobs that are open that could be more attractive than ours, because they got quarterbacks, they got salary cap, they got good draft picks, all that stuff. But I also will say this will tell just how much the Tom Brady effect really actually works. Yeah. So I'm with you, man. But Steve, appreciate the super chat, man. Appreciate you always coming through. I appreciate everybody coming in the building. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. We'll hit you guys maybe this weekend. We might do a little bit of a watch party with some of the playoff games. Might do that, but we'll definitely hit you guys next week and make sure you guys check in. So appreciate you. Make sure you guys have a great rest of your day. Real quick, everybody's saying, Scott, you just mentioned weather. If any of you guys in the LA area, I hope you guys are surviving the weather. Make sure you guys are doing good. Make sure everybody is staying safe. So, but appreciate you. Make sure you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys on the next one. We're out.